Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Namaskar. The Indian middle class consumers are said to be the engine of our economy. The world's fastest growing economy runs on the Indian middle class. Now, why? Indian middle class is very, very important for the world economy too. So, not just India. But theek hai. Indian middle class is the engine to India's growing economy. Now, mind you, Indian middle class is also the engine for Bharatiya Janata Party and Narendra Modi's growth in India. How are all these related? Let's get right into the show. COVID-19 pandemic has affected everybody in the world. Everybody. Health-wise and economy-wise, money-wise, everybody. It has affected the market the most, and we saw that in our GDP, 23.9% minus. But somewhere, and as it was expected, nothing surprising, it hit the Indian middle class the most. It hit the Indian middle class and it hit them really bad. In fact, to an extent where, according to a Nielsen report, there is a drop in fast-moving consumer goods, shampoos and snacks and smalls. The fast-moving consumer goods, there is a huge slack. There is slack in purchase of gold, which again is a middle-class forte. 73%, 74% fall in purchase of gold, whereas the global average is just 53%. India, 74%, middle class. There is a degrowing in the sales of McDonald's, 24%. So, wherever middle class used to indulge themselves, there is fall in sales, which means that middle class doesn't have the money, which means that the middle class is not going and purchasing. This is something that is being seen all over the country. Now, they are going to see bouncing of checks. They are going to see their EMIs bounce out. They are not going to be able to pay for their housing loans. They are not going to be able to pay for their vehicle loans, which means that forget about purchasing. They may have to sell. They may have to sell the house that they just bought, their dream house. They may have to sell it because they are not able to pay their EMIs. They may have to sell that luxury car which they just bought because they may not be able to pay their EMIs. Now the problem here is your dreams shatter. When dreams shatter, it all converts into some kind of anger within. And that's what's expected. So the Indian middle class consumer will take the maximum hit of COVID. Now, how does it relate to Narendra Modi? Why are we talking about Mr. Narendra Modi, our good Prime Minister? You see, like I've mentioned not once but many a times in my previous editorial, the core audience of Mr. Modi is the Hindu middle class. It is the Hindu middle class that made Mr. Modi an icon. He is much bigger than a Prime Minister. He is an icon. It is this middle class, this Hindu middle class of India that has made him the icon. Now, in this case, the maximum hit has also been the Indian middle class. You see, all these years, while economy definitely mattered, economy definitely went up and down, there were problems, there were a lot of problems, but Indian middle class was still kind of protected, kind of safe. It didn't matter to their life so much as it is going to matter to them now. Now is when their houses are going to be up for sales. They may have to give up their favorite vehicles. Now is that when their dreams are going to be taken away from them. This would be the trying time for Mr. Narendra Modi. So this economy has to bounce back, not only for the simple reason that India has to survive and all of us has to eat, we have to live. Also, it is important for Mr. Narendra Modi to continue to be this popular Prime Minister of India who a lot of people think can deliver India out of all these troubles. The fact that if he doesn't, he's in for a huge backlash from his core audience. In marketing, we say that the moment a product is displaced from its core audience, that is the time when the product moves out of the market. The state government and the central government is supposed to function for the people. They are public servants. The Prime Minister is Pradhan Sevak and the Mukhya Mantri is also public servant. These are public servant utilizing public money to run public works. That's their job. To aid them to service the public, they are given certain privileges and certain backup like the police, like the enforcement directorate, like the Central Bureau of Investigation, so on and so forth. They are given certain institutions through which, using which they run the show. Now what happens if the state government and the central government turns into goons, gangs, and you have each gang protecting their own member, at least looks like protecting their own member, fighting for their own member. So you had a Riya Chakrabarti who people claim the state government protected her. The state government didn't act on her act. The state police didn't act against her. They didn't put any FIR against her, and so on and so forth. The investigation was sloppy, and so on and so forth. So there is a list of things that people go out and say. And then there is a Kangana Ranaut. People say she is favoring the central government. She speaks the BJP line, and she is part of the central government gang. Now, the central government gang comes and arrests Miss Riya Chakrabarti and puts her behind bars. NCB, saying that she's a drug addict or a drug peddler. The next day, the state government authority, the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation, goes and breaks Kangana Ranaut's house or whatever, or whatever, her office, breaks it. So, 1-1. Tomorrow, God knows what the center is going to do to Riya Chakrabarti. A day after tomorrow, God knows what the state is going to do again to Kangana Ranaut. In all of this, what about my potholes? What about my economy? I wonder. Justice for Sushant Singh Rajput is a good thing. Completely agreed. And it is a nice thing that the country stands together to fight for somebody's justice. But pray tell me, these last 3, 4, 5 days events, how is all of this getting justice to Sushant Singh Rajput? Haven't we lost our focus? Isn't this act of vengeance more than an act of getting somebody justice? My only humble request to my viewers is, let politicians play their game. Let us maintain our sanity, because we have to live our lives. Think about it. Namaskar.